Pole position, Jerome D'Ambrosio in the red and black Dragon car. It's the yellow and blue Renault alongside him of Nico Prost. Then it's all Abt on row number 2 with Lucas Di Grassi starting 3rd, Daniel Abt in 4th, championship leader starting 5th. All 5 lights are on and we go green in Mexico City. And let's see who gets the best start on the run down towards turn number 1. Sam Bird looking up the inside of Sarrazin. D'Ambrosio's got the lead covered and Abt and Di Grassi are so close to each other. They're going almost 3 wide at the back. Will everyone make it through? Only a few drivers cutting the corner. That was super clean. Conway almost pushed into the wall, but D'Ambrosio is the man who from pole position has managed to hold the lead of the race, but Prost is all over the back of him. Di Grassi up into 3rd place, and look at that, around the outside, a bit of contact there as Sebastian Buemi tries to go around the outside, a bit of a traffic jam coming up further back. Everyone though seems to have emerged reasonably unscathed. Scott Speed's perfect start for D'Ambrosio and a pretty safe opening lap as well as they come into the stadium for the first time.
Very respectful from everyone through the first corner. They all know the deal. They got to be safe right now. Got this long race, 43 laps. A lot's going to happen. Now let's just see. Now they can settle in. The first 5 laps here are important because you're either going to use way too much energy or not enough. And after that, you'll get into your groove and it'll all start shaking out.
Nico Prost makes a small mistake coming through the final chicane as they come out to complete lap 1. Will that put him under pressure from this man, Lucas Di Grassi, who's running in 3rd position? Down the start, finish straight into turn 1 again, but Prost seems to have it covered. He went in a little too hot into that final chicane as they bounce through turn numbers 1 and 2 and then out through turn 3, the long right-hander that is part of the oval circuit that they use here for Mexican NASCAR championships. Robin Frenz has got in front of his teammate Simona De Silvestro, and De Silvestro is now under attack from Antonio Felix da Costa, but the biggest pressure I think is on Nico Prost at the moment. Di Grassi is looking racy.
Yeah, and that's just giving Jerome a little bit of free space right now, letting him have some clean running. But these guys know in these first 5 laps, if you're going to make a move, it's going to be now.
Yeah, absolutely. So through they come into this triple left-hander in the stadium section, the Foro de Sol, the Forum of the Sun, which is home to the Mexico City Red Devils, the most successful baseball team in this country. And look at that, D'Ambrosio's got a bit of an advantage, and at the moment 1% more usable energy. That's what that percentage means on the left-hand side of the screen as we look at it. So things have gone pretty well for D'Ambrosio on this opening lap or 2. They come out to complete lap number 2, and really you've got to break away from really the top 6, I think. Loic Duval is at the back of this break, and Jean-Eric Vergne has lost a lot of positions on that last lap. He came through 6th, and he's now right at the back, so a problem for Jean-Eric Vergne. His teammate Sam Bird has just set the fastest lap of the race. Here is Vergne, right at the back now, so I don't know what happened to him. Oh, he's going straight on there. That wasn't in the plan, was it?
No, that wasn't intentional.
So D'Ambrosio leads 0.6 of a second clear at the moment, and we've got a bit of a Heidfeld train as they come down towards turn number 7, lap 3 of 43. So let's just settle down because there's a long way to go, and Formula E usually kicks into life sooner rather than later. But at the moment, it's Linus Stern up at the front, Sam Bird looking really racy behind Stefan Sarrazin as they swing through the left-hander at turn 10. Oh, there's a bit of debris there on the runoff at turn 12, on the exit of turn 12. That's why we've got to wave the yellow flag there. But there you can see the order on the left-hand side. No real changes. Oh, straight on goes Daniel Abt. He's going to get back on in front of Buemi. Yes, he will. So we'll see what happens there. Buemi might be close enough on the run down towards turn 1. He's going to look to the inside line, but Daniel Abt will try and cover. Buemi looks to the outside line and goes through around the outside. Great move from Sebastian Buemi. Nothing Daniel Abt could do, and you'd have thought Abt would have been able to hold that with the inside line. Yeah, well, with him going through the chicane in the corner before, I'm not quite sure what what the proper, let's say, move would have been in that case anyways. He's probably going to end up having to give that position back either way, so. Yeah, that's true. He was behind him. Sorry, he was in front of Buemi, but definitely gained an advantage by going straight over. Now here we come, the top 3 again into the stadium. Swinging through the left-handers. It's pretty close, that 2nd and 3rd battle. And Daniel Abt, I think, from a team perspective, he will be feeling a little bit like he may have let the team down. Here's the fan boost at the moment. Jean-Eric Vergne is in 3rd place. 4th is Sam Bird, and there's only 2% between them. And voting doesn't finish until 7 minutes into the race. So we've probably still got another 3 or 4 minutes to go. It's just a long train right now. No one is really able to make a move on many people. I think they're all pretty much settled in. Lap time's just now starting to come down for your top 5 running in the mid 106s. Okay, so Sebastian Buemi has just set the fastest lap of the race, in fact, the 1:06.4, but it's not that much quicker than D'Ambrosio. Lucas Di Grassi is being told by his team constantly on the radio to adjust his brake bias, so see whether that makes any difference to his pace. But at the moment, D'Ambrosio, Prost, Di Grassi are the top three. And you can see the battery percentage, the amount of usable energy remaining in that tower on the left-hand side. And once that gets down to 0%, you've got to come into pits and change over. So, yeah, fairly line astern at the moment. But Di Grassi is the man who's looking most racy. But Nico Prost is not going to make it easy for him at all, is he?
Yeah, to me, Di Grassi's got a really fast car. He's certainly being held up right now. The question is how much is he able to save right now for maybe potentially making a move later.
Yeah, absolutely. Out they come over the start-finish line once more. You can see the power that they're using on the right-hand side. Di Grassi hitting the full 170. Da Costa has got a 10-second pit stop time penalty. He's running now in 14th position anyway, so not the greatest of runs for Da Costa. He did start, in fairness to him, in 17th, so he's made up some places. Nelson Piquet, all on his own at the back, 1.6 seconds off the rest of the pack. Meanwhile, second place man, Nico Prost, is De Silvestro really close to the wall. And De Silvestro, I think, is back in front of Robin Freins. Yes, so De Silvestro back into 10th place in front of her Andretti teammate Robin Freins there. The Da Costa penalty is for working on the car under Parc Fermé regulations, which is an interesting one because they changed the gearbox, so maybe they changed other things that they weren't allowed to change.
Must have been what they were doing on the grid. You know, while they're on the grid, they're still having to make changes to that car to get it race ready. Yeah,
absolutely. So how much of a difference can you, when you're in a train like this, you were very good at it in Miami, using the energy well. Surely everybody, though, is, you know, much of a muchness in terms of energy saving.
You just have to, if you're the faster car, you just have to make the decision, do I try to use more energy and make a pass, or do I just, you know, use my speed and coast more and save the energy so I can potentially make that pass later?
Lap 7 of 43 at the moment. It's Robin Freins and Loic Duval who have the most usable energy remaining. D'Ambrosio's just set the fastest lap of anyone, our race leader, to try and keep ahead of Nico Prost. And then third position is Lucas Di Grassi, with Buemi in fourth place. Is apt going to feel like he not let his team down, maybe that's a bit harsh, but one of his primary jobs must have been to keep Buemi behind him.
I mean, we're 7 laps into the race, a long race to go. He's going to, you know, have plenty of opportunities there. It's not like he's losing the pack. He's staying right there. You know, from an energy standpoint, it looks like they're all really similar. What we don't know is how many laps they're planning on going.
Yeah,
you know,
that's very true.
If potentially one of these guys is planning on going one whole extra lap, then that could change the whole picture.
Lap 8 of 43 here in the Mexico City ePrix, heading down into turn 1. Bit of a lock-up behind from Daniel Abt, and he's gone straight on there again. Is he going to get through? Alain Prost there has got 119 beats per minute at the moment, his heart rate. Mine was a little bit higher than that as Daniel Abt skipped across the chicane. And has he lost a position? No, he hasn't. He's managed to keep it, but that's the second time he's skipped over a chicane in this race. And as a result has dropped a little bit off the back. Then it's Duval in 6th, Heidfeld 7th, Sarrazin 3rd, De Silvestro, Freins the top 11. Salvador Duran's up into 12th place, the Mexican driver, as the cars come through the stadium complex once again. Heidfeld running out a little bit wide. Here's a replay.
Yeah, I think this might be Di Grassi.
Oh, you're absolutely right. No, it was Daniel Abt. No, it's Di Grassi, you're right, it is Di Grassi.
Yeah, so,
yeah, sorry, my apologies.
Obviously didn't gain any time, but he also didn't lose any either.
Yeah.
Which was convenient that hole was there.
Yeah, absolutely, otherwise we'd have ended up like Nelson Piquet in qualifying 1, where he ploughed through the Tech Pro barriers. So my apologies to Daniel Abt. That was Lucas Di Grassi who locked up coming down into what is a tricky first corner. I mean, you drove the car yesterday. How difficult was it at the first corner?
Yeah, it's difficult because these chicanes you're coming into, you're trying to turn the car as well. So whenever you're trying to turn the car and really have a hard braking zone like that, things are tricky. So a lot of variables involved, and sometimes you snag a wheel, get a little lockup, and then the whole picture changes.
Yeah, absolutely. A few of you asking on hashtag Mexico ePrix, what happened with Jean-Eric Vergne, we're not entirely sure. He was running up in 6th position and then dropped all the way down to 16th, so perhaps an error out there on the circuit somewhere. But these are our race leaders as we stick with the helicopter for the whole lap. This is the Peraltada corner, the famous corner, which now has a chicane in the middle, but that was the amount of runoff you used to have back in the day. Absolutely crazy. As they come now out over through the final corner to complete or to start lap number 10, and it's Jerome D'Ambrosio who's leading the way, 0.6 of a second clear of Nico Prost, with De Grassi in 3rd spot at the moment. Then we've got Buemi, then we've got Daniel Abt, then there's the gap back to Duval, Heidfeld. We've got quite a close battle between Mike Conway and Salvador Duran, which is looking a bit spicy, as is Oliver Turvey versus Jean-Eric Vergne versus Bruno Senna. Here's the Conway-Duran battle over 12th position at the moment. Is Conway going to have a look coming through up the inside into the chicane? I don't think he's quite going to be close enough, but couldn't be much closer. He's in a bit of a Gulf Aguri sandwich here with Antonio Felix da Costa up behind him. Da Costa with a very wobbly, in fact that front wing's come away. Most of that front wing's come away there, hasn't it?
Yeah, that's potential trouble right there.
Yeah, you don't want that to come away and get stuck under your front wheels. So see what happens as the race progresses for Antonio Felix da Costa as they come through turn number 13 now, and the amount of vibrations and the bumps on this circuit aren't going to be helping that at all. Onto the brakes, into the chicane. Is that going to is he going to know that wing's wobbling? Yeah,
you're able to see the front wing in the car. You're definitely going to be able to see the 2 outside pods moving back and forth, and you'll certainly feel it. So he knows it's not correct, but at this point, you know, he's thinking it's made it through a couple laps. I'm just going to keep digging until there's a problem.
De Grassi, what's going on with De Grassi here? He skips across the chicane and slots in behind Nico Prost. Has he made a mistake, or did he try and attack? We'll try and find out for you. Sorry to cut across you there, Scott, but Lucas De Grassi really pushing hard, and now he's got Sebastian Buemi all over the back of him. We'll try and get a hold of what happened to the Brazilian there as they swing through the right-hander. De Grassi running in 3rd place still. He did set the fastest first sector of anyone, so he was certainly pushing. And as far as the fan boost is concerned, it is good news for Jean-Eric Vergne. It's good news, of course, for Lucas De Grassi, who has picked up the fan boost as well to use in the second car, and for Salvador Duran, unsurprisingly, the Mexican driver winning the fan boost. So that means in their second car, they will get an extra boost of power when they decide to use it. Now De Grassi is going to be under an awful lot of pressure from the Renault
laps
behind.
Remaining 11
laps remaining there, and this is Jean-Eric Vergne going past Turvey then. So Vergne past Turvey up into 15th position. Vergne will be very frustrated with how this is progressing, having started in 6th place on the grid.
One noticeable thing, you know, they got Sam Bird running in 9th right now. He's doing the same lap times as the leaders, and the energy from pretty much the whole field is relatively the same. So it's really anybody's race at this point. If they can keep a relatively close gap to the cars in front of them, I think you're still going to see a lot of moves in the pit stop.
Yeah, absolutely. We're expecting the pit stops to come about roughly lap 20 to 21, depending on how well you manage the energy, simply because they tend to go about half race distance. We were on board with De Grassi coming out through the final corner now, with race leader Jerome D'Ambrosio only less than 0.4 of a second clear of Nico Prost. This is the closest Prost has been in a while. And it's all starting to concertina up between the top 4. There's Buemi, championship leader at the back. Then through the long right-hander they come. If things stayed like this, Buemi would still lead the championship, but only by 1 point from Lucas De Grassi. But we've still got a lot of racing to go. Buemi and De Grassi both setting purple first sector times, or first sector times quicker than they've had before. There was a bit of side-by-side action at the chicane there. Looks as though one of the Venturis and the Mahindras were battling. That would have been Heidfeld and Sarazan potentially, so we'll keep an eye on that one. They now come out through turn 13. Back out of the baseball stadium once more. On board with Buemi, championship leader. Lifting.
Target also 125.
Okay, so there was Buemi being told the targets through the right-hander and out onto the start finish straight. And now onto the brakes, and well, it looks as though I think D'Ambrosio just takes a narrower line into that first corner, and obviously he's going to even more now, I think. Black and orange meatball flag for Antonio Felix da Costa, which means there's something wrong with your car. You've got to come into the pits and fix that, please, or we will disqualify you, essentially. Look how close de Grassi is to the back of Nico Prost. This is a very tight four-way battle, isn't it? If you're de Grassi in this, what do you do? D'Ambrosio's just got to try and drive his race and react to any attacks, but do you attack if you're de Grassi, or does that open the opportunity for Buemi?
You got to wait for your moment. You got to wait for the other person to make a mistake or to get in a situation with the car in front of him that opens the door. So right now he's doing what all racing guys are doing. They're waiting for a moment to make a move.
Yep, absolutely. Into turn 13. Sorry, no, this is coming into the chicane, and then out into the final corner again. Again, everybody on pretty similar energy management levels. We're on board with de Grassi. You can see his throttle and his brakes down there. He's in third gear. Will he shift down one gear? Expecting him, yeah, it sounded like he shifted down one, yeah. The 3 gears inside that apt car. And this is the rear view of Nico Prost on the left-hand side as they come through turn number 3. In towards the second chicane. On the exit, you can see how close de Grassi comes in the rear view camera, and side-by-side action again between Bird and Heidfeld in the background. So just to keep you up to date with that, Heidfeld is 7th, Bird is 8th, so they've both managed to get past Sarrazin in the Venturi, who has dropped to 9th. Nick Heidfeld is a little bit weaker on usable energy as everyone else, but this top 5, they are lapping pretty consistently and pretty evenly. It's fantastic close competition. de Grassi through the final chicane again. So we've got maybe 5 or 6 laps before the pit stop window opens up. 64 seconds the minimum pit stop time.
And that's what's going to change everything right now. I think a lot of these guys are also kind of playing it cool right now, knowing that as soon as this pit stop happens, you can very well go into the pit stop 4th, come out 1st. So,
and when you've come out and you're in the car, oh, look at Prost thinking about it. D'Ambrosio had to come across there and cover the inside line at the last minute. Look at how close they are. Big sideways moment there for Buemi on exit. It seems as though once you get in your second car, you know what you got to do then to get to the end of the race, and it seems like it's a lot sort of more free in the second half of the race.
You know now it's all in your hands. You don't have a pit stop to wait on, and you can take the risks. It's clear that these front 5 are all kind of doing that. They're all kind of pacing Jerome and not sort of forcing the move right now because they know they got the pit stop coming. But after that pit stop, it's not going to be this quiet.
No, absolutely not. So another drive-through penalty this time for Antonio Felix da Costa. So a 10-place grid penalty, 10-second pit stop penalty, and a drive-through penalty for the Portuguese driver. I think it's safe to say, not really his day. He can't get no satisfaction today as they come down into the chicane once again. Lap 17 of 43. de Grassi in the middle of this Renault sandwich, and if he can just keep in front of, as you were saying in the qualifying show earlier on, Scott, he's a championship driver. If he can get another podium, finish ahead of your main rival, what more can you do?
No, he's going to play it smart. He's doing. Everyone's playing, a normal, let's say, race here. They're all keeping it cool. It seems like Jerome's probably not the quickest of the 4 cars out there right now, and right now that's okay.
Yeah.
After the pit stops, like I said, I think it'll be a little bit more exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. So lap 17 of 43, then down through turn 13. Buemi set the fastest first sector of anyone on this lap so far. Behind him, you've got Robin Frantz, who's back in front of Simona de Silvestro in that Inter-Andretti battle. But they're only separated by some 0.4 of a second. This is one of Simona's best showings, actually, in Formula E. Really matching Robin Frantz. As we go on board with de Grassi on the run down into turn 1. Jerome D'Ambrosio leading in the red Dragon car. Nico Prost in second in the blue and yellow Renault Edams machine. Then it's the 3rd place car in front of us of Lucas de Grassi, and we're on board with Sebastian Buemi, championship leader, the man who lost the championship by just 1 point last season to Nelson Piquet, who meanwhile is last, I'm afraid to say, and Turvey is 16th. So the XTV cars, after showing quite good pace in practice, are now right at the back of the pack again. Come through the stadium section once more, a proper stadium section as well. As they swing out then through turn 12 and then 13 that takes them out onto the Peraltada. And then down towards the chicane. Getting on the brakes. Look how close de Grassi is. He takes a lot of speed into the chicane but doesn't manage to keep it on the exit, it seems.
I think it's just a little bit of the accordion effect.
Yeah.
You know, they're all relatively going through there the same pace. You can't really do too much in a line like this. You're mostly just trying to get good exits and protect yourself from the rear.
Loic Duval is all by himself. He's 4 seconds behind this leading pack and 6 seconds in front of Nick Heidfeld. So he's running in a very lonely 6th position for the Dragon team. We go on board again with Buemi. Through the right and through the left and out towards turn number 7, the 90-degree right-hander that brings you back into the stadium. Next up, we've got the race in Long Beach, California, in just 3 weeks' time on the 2nd of April. And that's going to be a great event, as it was last year. But at the moment, a little bit wide there for Buemi, coming into 10, and that has dropped him right off the back of Lucas de Grassi and put him under pressure from Daniel Abt. So that's an interesting one for Buemi. Just the slightest mistake in a queue as tight as this really can have quite a big effect on you. I think we're going to get... Sebastian Buemi on the team radio there. I think we're going to get 2 more laps out of this one. It tends to be 7 or 8% of energy a lap. So I think this is the penultimate lap before we see the pit stop window.
And you'll want to close that gap back up to leaders by then for sure. You're going to want to come into the pits as close as you can.
Yeah, absolutely. And there you see de Grassi then on the brakes into the 2nd chicane. And it looks
Roman Ambrosio with the fast lap of the race that last lap right now, stretching his legs a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Good spot. And a 1:05.872 for Jerome D'Ambrosio. Now, Nick Heidfeld is running into a bit of usable energy troubles. He's in 7th place at the moment. He may have to pit a lap earlier than the rest of the guys out there. I don't think he's going to have enough to get round again. We'll have to wait and see, but they are, you know, they're so meticulously planned, these energy targets, that if he's 3% down on everyone else, that's a big chunk to save, isn't it?
Yeah, it could be a different strategy.
Yep, absolutely. Get himself out in some clear air. On board with de Grassi then. We come through to complete the 20th lap of racing, and D'Ambrosio again extending his advantage by another 1/10 of a second. It goes up to just under a second now. So he's starting the push, I think.
That's exactly what he wants to do right before the pit stops. Get himself a little bit of a cushion and a little bit of buffer, come back out in the lead in the next car, and then the race is in your control.
Meanwhile, Jean-Eric Verne is up into 12th place now. He's managed to get past Salvador Duran, and here's Antonio Felix da Costa attacking Sam Bird on the run down towards turn 1. But da Costa's a lap down here, actually. Da Costa's been in the pits twice. So, yeah, not really sure why he's getting so involved in that fight. But there you can see from the helicopter shot just the kind of margin that D'Ambrosio has managed to pull out. Nick Heidfeld has set the fastest first sector of anyone, but he's only got 4% of usable energy remaining. This is going to be very, very tight for Heidfeld. Are we going to see everyone else do one more lap by the looks of things, and maybe Heidfeld pit this time around? On board again with the rear view from Nico Prost, and they stay out. So this will be the final tour now around this 1.3 mile circuit, and that shows us that
Lucas,
it's about
laps one.
That's laps 1 till you come into the pits. About 5 or 6% is what you need to get a lap done around here then. And just waiting to check. Yes, Nick Heidfeld has come into the pit, so he's come in earlier than anyone. And there's the look from de Grassi up the inside, and he's waited until the final lap before the pit stop window to make the move on Nico Prost and move up into 2nd position.
There it is, surprise attack. He must have had a little bit more in the tank. Made good use of it.
Yeah, he's up into 2nd place then. Lucas de Grassi got slightly less usable energy than Nico Prost, but at this point they've obviously decided they can afford to go for that move. So that means that it's D'Ambrosio leading, de Grassi up into 2nd, Nico Prost down to 3rd, 4th is still Sebastian Buemi, 5th is still Daniel Abt, and in 6th place is Loic Duval before the pit stop window. So are we going to see them all come in this time around? Yes, we are. Now, 64 seconds the minimum pit stop time. As they really hammer on the brakes there. Now, this is going to be a bit different as well as you see the clock counting on the left-hand side, because they're going to park the car outside of the garage and then jump into their other one inside the garage. So there's a bit of a run here for the guys. So here we go. Who's going to come out in what order? Di Grassi pulls in. So does D'Ambrosio. Oh, a little stumble from Di Grassi. Should have enough time though, as D'Ambrosio gets strapped in. Out gets Sebastian Buemi. From that 4th position in the race, that's our race leader, Jerome D'Ambrosio, getting his straps done up. The countdown's beginning. Who is going to get out of the pit lane here first? Di Grassi edging forward. He wants to go as quickly as he can. Buemi getting ready to go too. Away goes Di Grassi. Buemi waiting. When's Buemi going to go? Not yet. D'Ambrosio is out in the lead, and it looks as though it's pretty much unchanged between the top 5 then. So Buemi comes out behind the apt car of Di Grassi, and actually Prost is now behind Buemi. So that's the change we've had. I wonder if that was intentional, do you think, from the Renault team to get Buemi out in front of Nico Prost?
And hard to say. I don't think they can have that much control of it, to be honest with you. They had a hard enough time, I think, just making sure they got their own car right. It'd be hard to have that kind of team order, to be honest.
Okay, so everybody, I think, made the pit stop time as well. Yeah, D'Ambrosio nailed it on 64 seconds, as did Buemi, but now Di Grassi knows he's got a bit of track position, and if he can get past D'Ambrosio, he's got track advantage and a car between him and Buemi. This is going to be a key couple of moments now for Lucas Di Grassi. Can he attack?
Carlo, he's looking very racy. That thing looks extremely fast.
He's got fan boost as well, Lucas Di Grassi, of course, and he's using it now. Here comes Lucas Di Grassi.
Brake, balance, brake, balance.
Pushes the fan boost, and D'Ambrosio covers the inside line, and Di Grassi still tries to look to the inside line. So close between them. Di Grassi locks up, manages to get it stopped in time, and takes the lead of the Mexico ePrix. Di Grassi into first place. D'Ambrosio's coming back at him around the outside of turn 3. That's not going to be an overtaking opportunity as they then come into the right-handed chicane. And so Di Grassi has done it. He's used the fan boost. He's into the lead of the race. That's exactly what he would have wanted.
Picture perfect.
Yeah.
The whole last 5 laps for Di Grassi.
Absolutely. So Di Grassi really playing this strongly. He was saying to us yesterday in our live chatty that you can watch back on the YouTube channel. He regretted some of the ways he did things in Argentina. He regretted he didn't attack enough, and he has absolutely turned that on his head here and moved into the lead of the race. Now the pressure for D'Ambrosio is going to come from Buemi, and the challenge for Buemi is, can he close in on Di Grassi? What an interesting second half of the race we are in for here in Mexico.
Yeah, we're about to see how fast Di Grassi is. He's been everyone's been at the tail end of the train of D'Ambrosio for the whole race. Interesting to see if they got some more pace.
Yeah, absolutely. So here comes Buemi up the inside, coming down into 1.
Oh, c'est quoi ça? Il peut pas changer de ligne comme ça.
Buemi saying, what was that? And maybe swearing, my French isn't good enough, but I know comme ça is what was that, and it was a last-minute move across from D'Ambrosio. Fair?
Yeah, I don't see why not. I mean, it was just as hard for Di Grassi.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is all allowing Lucas Di Grassi to extend his advantage a little bit as they come through the right-hander into turn 7. Jean-Eric Vergne lost 1 minute in the pits, actually, so the day is going from bad to worse for Jean-Eric Vergne. Thank you to Nina for spotting that using hashtag Mexico ePrix. And so Lucas Di Grassi is the man in the lead of the race now. And Nico Prost is getting right up to the back of Sebastian Buemi as well.
I think Buemi just needs to be cool, you know, keep the eye on the prize here. The race is not over yet, still have plenty of chance.
Up they come over the start-finish straight. Di Grassi's advantage up to 1.3 seconds. It was D'Ambrosio giving some energy readings over the radio. Nico Prost is there or thereabouts in this battle, and D'Ambrosio is really going to want to hold on to the second place. The translations just come in, and it was, whoa, what was that? He can't change line like that, was Buemi's complaint. Thank you again to Nina for that. So yeah, we kind of got the gist of it from the anger and what we saw, but great to have the translation there. So now, Di Grassi's got a 1.5 second lead. D'Ambrosio's in second place, but Jerome is going to be desperate to hold on to a podium position. He started on pole position in Punta del Este. And then at the end of that race in Uruguay, he managed a 3rd place, but you know, he wants to hold on to a second at least. On board with Buemi, coming out of the final corner. The crowd watching on as they come over the start-finish line down towards turn 1. There goes Di Grassi, and then there comes D'Ambrosio and Buemi. Behind them, Duval in 6th, Heidfeld, Bird, Freinz and Senna, the top 10. Good work from Senna, actually, to get up into the top 10. Here comes Sebastian Buemi, tries to squeeze up the inside. Goodness me, how close between the two of them there. D'Ambrosio gave him sort of just enough room, but that's very tight. Alain Prost's heart rate a little bit lower than it was a moment. Oh no, there we go. There it goes, over 100 BPM. But that was limit stuff from D'Ambrosio, wasn't it?
Yeah, no, they're just not able to hang on to Di Grassi's pace. He's just inching away out of his own race. And interesting enough, Loic Duval sitting the fastest lap of the race now in 6th. Looks like catching Daniel Abt, trying to get into the mix as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So he is 3.2 seconds back from this top 5 at the moment, Loic Duval. But great to see how evenly matched these 3 teams are. Abt leading, the Abt team leading, Dragon in 2nd, Renault in 3rd. On the brakes for turn 1 once again. And there is Abt, there is Duval, so he is a bit of a way back. Nick Heidfeld having a very solid and lonely race in 7th position. Wait for it, here comes Heidfeld. Very, very lonely in that 7th position. Then you've got Sam Bird out of the corner there in 8th place, 9th for Robin Freinz. 10th position is Bruno Senna. Really good drive from Senna, actually, having started in 16th on the grid. He's now well up into the points-paying positions. Simona de Silvestro, frustratingly for her, still just 1 position outside of the points. She's had 3 11th place finishes in her Formula E career, and yet to pick up a point, which must be unimaginably frustrating. But here's the battle for 2nd place still. Di Grassi is leading, and as it stands, he will take the lead of the Formula E Championship as we head to round 6 in Long Beach in 3 weeks' time. But Buemi is not going to want to let that happen. Bit sideways in the middle of the corner there from D'Ambrosio.
Yeah, Buemi, this is going to be a great opportunity here.
And,
130.
and they just told D'Ambrosio on the radio, Buemi's going to look to the inside. Oh, he's into the back of him! They come together, and they go both straight over the chicane.
Jesus, he completely crashed into me.
D'Ambrosio furious with that. It didn't look to me as though D'Ambrosio actually made too much of a move that time through. They both get away with it. Let's see if, yeah, it's just a bit of nose damage for Sebastian Buemi, and just a bit of rear pod damage, and that is not a very happy Swiss driver there in 3rd place.
I don't know, man. I don't see what D'Ambrosio could have done much different to that.
Here we go. So you're coming down. D'Ambrosio kind of drives in the middle. No, Buemi turns left into him.
That's pretty much on Buemi's shoulders there. That's unfortunate. It's kind of silly to do when you have the car that he does and the position he does. It's a silly mistake.
Buemi darted, like really clearly darted back over to the left there. So there's nothing. Oh, what's happening here for the Renault team? And he went straight over the chicane, and it's still Buemi in front of Prost as they come over the start-finish line. But Buemi starting to get rattled a little bit, you just wonder. D'Ambrosio, I don't think, did anything wrong on that one. A couple of times previously, maybe pushing the limits a bit, but that time through, it was very close. On board with Buemi again. This all means that Di Grassi now has a 2.7 second lead. And D'Ambrosio, unsurprisingly, set the fastest lap of the race last time through, because he went straight over at turn 1. So I don't think that will count towards points for the championship. And this is getting to the stage now where even if Buemi gets through, it's going to be tough to actually catch Di Grassi with a 3-second advantage.
Yeah, that's going to be really tough to make out, especially as quick as Di Grassi is.
Yeah. So on board with Buemi, what's going to happen? And this all stemmed from D'Ambrosio getting out of shape through the middle part of this chicane here. A little bit neater this time through, but that Renault is so good over the curbs. We're about to go for round 3 now. Seconds out, coming down towards turn 1. What's D'Ambrosio going to do? Buemi is lurking behind him, makes a very clear move, but still tucks in behind the Belgian. Great fight this for 2nd position.
1:31:10:58.
Yeah, Buemi's clearly got the faster car. He's trying to struggle to find a clear way by.
Yeah, absolutely. It's because of the, I presume, a lot of the approaches to these chicanes are corners, getting the inside's tough.
You can cover it basically very good, and there's no secret. Ambrosio is a very, what we call in the biz, a tough pass. He'll agree with that himself, but that's part of the game.
Yeah, absolutely. Did you race against him much in FE last year?
Yeah, we had some great battles. We had some great battles. But I mean, like I said, that's part of the game. And you know, the problem that Bohemi's having right now all still stems from qualifying.
Yeah.
You know, if you qualify on pole, like which Jerome does, you have that luxury.
Yeah, absolutely. The team radio to Sebastian Buemi was stay focused. You're lucky enough to be still in the race. Stay focused and we'll try again later. That was the message to Buemi. We come down towards turn 1 again. Lap 32 of 43. Big lockup from someone up in front.
Who could that be?
Well, it would presumably have been Degrassi, but we'll keep an eye out as to whether he lost much time in the first sector. Not really, so maybe he just got away with it. Nico Prost is under investigation for an unsafe pit stop release, meanwhile. So we'll keep an eye on that one as that progresses. Lap 32 of 43 here. 12 laps to go in Mexico City, in what is turning into a great Formula E race. And Formula E has changed this year. We're on board with Sam Bird quickly. He's going to be overtaking Nick Heidfeld for 7th position. Up the inside, not quite enough room. There we go. Good stuff from Bird. Can't get that stop though, and has to go straight over. And that allows Robin Frantz to get involved in the party as well. And Bird remains in that 8th position. And that if you go in too hot, too tight there, you're never going to make the corner, I guess.
It just seems to be incredibly easy to hold off a faster car.
Yeah.
For whatever reason around this track, there's no real place that you can't hide here.
Absolutely. So, yeah, what I was about to touch on earlier is Formula E has changed for me since last year. Last year, everyone had the identical car, and it all got crazy quite often. This year, we're getting really good races. You know what I mean? Last year, we'd have a safety car or a crash, and it would all kind of kick off. This year, it's really fascinating inter-manufacturer competition.
Yeah, and I think everyone's getting used to racing the cars and the format, and it's just, I think, a natural progression of the sport.
Yeah, absolutely. So lap 33 of 43, we're about to cross the line to have 10 to go. Daniel Apter's got a reasonable amount of usable energy remaining. Maybe we'll see him mount a push towards the end of the race. Sam Bird's got loads. Oh, actually, no, he has got loads. So not only has he got more than Heidfeld in 7th place there, who has 48%, because Heidfeld pitted a lap earlier, but also Bird in general has more than the rest of the pack. So good work from the Englishman. He just wants to score a chunk of points here today.
136.
On to the brakes then. And Jean-Eric Verne is using his fan boost meanwhile. But I think he's all by himself out there. Yes, he is. So no real benefit for Verne after what has been a miserable day. There he is, having used his fan boost. And using that to, well, try and catch up the 25-second gap to Salvador Duran in front of him. So they come out onto the start-finish straight. Those two graphics at the top there mean that we've got D'Ambrosio and Buemi's team radio open. So if either of them talk, then we'll hear it, but we don't obviously know when they're going to talk. This is Nick Heidfeld again under pressure from Sam Bird. Really good drive this from Heidfeld, but Sam Bird is coming at him into the chicane once again. This time he goes wider to try and get the run out into turn 7. It's clever work from Bird, but we'll see whether that actually makes any difference on the run down to 7. Not quite. As they come, oh, and off. That's Antonio Felix da Costa. He's gone backwards into the barriers there at turn 7. Meanwhile, back to this battle for second place. D'Ambrosio under pressure. Look from the inside from Buemi. He's darting around in the mirrors. He's trying to go around the outside. Great attempt from Sebastian Buemi. Surely he cut across the track there, and he can't.
He cut the chicane.
I think D'Ambrosio made my point there. So let's see what happens here with Sebastian Buemi. Is he going to give that place back? An audacious attack. And here comes Prost attacking, and they're going to make contact there. And this is really difficult times for D'Ambrosio. To me, Buemi's got to give that place back, Scott.
The orange cone is gone. It's game on. I don't really know how they're going to call that. That's going to be tough.
So, well, what a battle we are having here for second place. So Sebastian Buemi is through up into that second position, and now he will naturally start to pull away. And is that Buemi slowing down? D'Ambrosio's going wide, through goes Prost, and I think Buemi's trying to slow to give the pace
Purée, je veux
back.
le laisser passer 4 fois, ce con.
And now that means Prost is
What the
through
fuck
and
is he
Abt is
doing?
through. And D'Ambrosio, apologies for the language, but he is absolutely livid. And so he goes straight over the chicane himself to try and get back
What's
past.
going on, guys? I don't understand.
It's like the Wild West.
like wacky races. So,
To make the penalties.
well, so long and short of it is the positions are back to being the same after it.
All cars around you are 4th position.
Or it all got a bit nuts there, didn't it? So it looked as though Buemi was trying to let, and has he done it now? Yes, he has. So Buemi has let D'Ambrosio back through into that second place, and I think between them, they've resolved the fair order of things. Okay, it was a strange way of going about it, but I think we're there now.
Yeah, and the interesting thing is, look, Duval now is part of that pack.
Yeah, absolutely, that's very true. So, someone's just said on Mexico ePrix, Buemi needs some chill lessons from Scott Speed. That's what Seb needs right now. So I think what happened is, Buemi tried to let D'Ambrosio through. D'Ambrosio didn't have the pace to get past, got held up, and Prost thought, right, I'm going to go for it then, and threw it up the inside. So, well, 7 laps to go.
Okay, you'll have 7 on the dash when you cross the line. 7 on the dash.
7 on the dash.
1, 3, 3,
7 to go.
something.
And, well, we're back to where we were a minute ago, but this all means Lucas Di Grassi has a 10-second lead up at the front. A massive lead for Di Grassi.
Ok, merci. Target conso 1.32.
So, right, let's just calm down a little bit after all of that. We're still back in the same position where Sebastian Buemi has got to try and find a way fairly around Jerome D'Ambrosio. It was a nice try from D'Ambrosio, and that's John-Eric Verne at the back of this queue, who is a lap down. Sam Bird is 25 seconds back down the road from this pack. So Verne there in that Virgin is just out there for fun, really, because he is running in 17th place. Oh, and that's Loic Duval making a mistake. Didn't see what happened. I was looking at the timings there, but Duval hasn't lost any positions. He's dropped back behind the Virgin car of Verne, but that's all. So, and Nico Prost has been given a drive-through penalty. Drive-through penalty for Nico Prost for an unsafe pit release now. Goodness me, as if we could get any more drama into this Mexico City ePrix race. There you can see confirmation from race control. The battle for second continues. That means that Daniel Abt is up into 4th position once Prost makes his pit stop.
This is good for Bird.
Yeah, absolutely. Bird's got a lot of energy, but as I say, he is 20 seconds off the back of the pack. It's also good for Abt in terms of the team's championship, because it means they'll be running 1st and 4th once Nico Prost serves his drive-through penalty. Is it crazier watching the races or being in the races?
It's more crazy being in the races.
Pourquoi is the shout from Prost. He's just been told, what did I do? He shouts. Unsafe release appears to be same in English and French. And Prost says, okay, here's a look at the replay. So out goes Buemi, and I mean,
Okay.
I can see where they're coming from, but it seems a bit harsh when you have guys coming in line astern. They're going to come out line astern.
Whatever.
No thoughts. So Dragon Boss Jay Penske's just been down somewhere by the looks of things, maybe to chat to the Renault team. They're only next door. And Prost has served his drive-through penalty now, so Abt is up into 4th spot. Duval up into 5th. Forward we go again with Sebastian Buemi. 5 laps to go here in Mexico City. It's going to be 4 before too long, because they're almost at the end of this 39th tour of this 1.3-mile Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez circuit. And there's not going to be many more opportunities for Sebastian Buemi to get past Jerome D'Ambrosio. Here comes Di Grassi, the race leader for the Abt Schaeffler Audi Sport team. 10 seconds clear of the rest of the pack.
An unbelievably well done race from Di
Yeah.
Grassi. I mean, played everything perfectly, made aggressive attacks when he needed to. Just applause to him.
Yeah, absolutely spot on from Lucas Di Grassi up at the front. Buemi desperately trying to get through into that 2nd position. Through the long right-hander they come at turn 3, into the chicane. see what usable energy. See, they're still running at very similar usable energy levels remaining. It's not as though Buemi's got a load more. Doesn't look like he can manage to get himself into the position to attack just yet.
Yeah, it seems like he's always right there waiting for a little move. It's a pity he can't just sort of chill back there, save up enough energy to where it's super obvious at the end where he can just go down the straightaway with, you know, a couple more percent, for example, because it seems like he's quite a bit quicker than Ambrosio.
Yeah, absolutely. But, you know, whereas the previous few laps he's been right on the back of D'Ambrosio, this time around he
Jerome looking really good on energy, good on temps. You should see 3 on the dash.
So 3 laps to go now for Jerome D'Ambrosio. 6 kilometers of racing left here in Mexico City in what has been an incredibly entertaining race. 45 minutes of the way in, and we've probably only got 3 or 4 minutes to go. Is that enough minutes for Sebastian Buemi to make an attack? Up into the second chicane. Daniel Abt not quite able to join the party. And at this point in the race, you start to lose the regen capabilities of the car the further you go in.
Yeah.
What does that do when you're driving? How does that affect how you have to drive?
Well, everything you're able to adjust out of, so you maybe have to adjust the brake balance a little bit. So from a driving perspective, you're able to calculate or at least adjust everything to continue driving normally.
Lap 41 of 43. Into the final chicane once again. Lucas Di Grassi is on his penultimate lap of the race, about 10 seconds up the road.
Attention.
130.
Across the line they come and give their readings. So Buemi has got basically one more shot into turn 1 now. This is the penultimate lap. The next time through is going to be the final run into turn 1, unless he can come up with something clever somewhere else on the circuit. That's got to be the challenge. He's got a tiny bit more energy now than D'Ambrosio. You can see on the left, D'Ambrosio at 9%, Buemi at 10%. Is that going to be the vital difference in the battle for second position and the battle for the lead of the championship, essentially? Because as it stands, Di Grassi will take the lead. Uncertain who the fastest lap of the race will go to, because I think it was set by D'Ambrosio when he cut through the first chicane, so the stewards will have to look into that one. Oh, and that's Daniel Abt, he's in the wall. Daniel Abt from 5th place is in the wall. He manages to get the car out of it and get going again. I think that's at the second chicane. Yes, it is. He gets going. Is there too much damage to the car? Well, the front wing's all over the place, but here's the battle for second place across the line, and Sebastian Buemi is so close.
Final lap.
He's looking inside on the final lap, is the line from Jay Penske, but Buemi is not quite close enough on the run down into turn 1. The final lap of the Mexico ePrix, and as ever, we've got a grandstand finish. Di Grassi's disappeared up at the front. He's got a 7-second lead, but D'Ambrosio is in that second place at the moment. Sebastian Buemi wants it to try and limit the damage this is going to do.
Drive to your dash, Jerome, drive to your dash.
He's going to lose the championship lead here to this man, Lucas Di Grassi, who is leading the way into the stadium section for the final time. The cheers come up from the thousands of Mexican fans that have come here to see a motor race, and goodness me, have they seen a motor race. Checker flag a little bit premature. He's still got 2 corners to go now, Lucas Di Grassi. On board with Buemi. What can he do as they come down to 13? Doesn't look like he's got anything to do about it. Lucas Di Grassi, out through the final corner, is going to win in Mexico City. He's going to take the lead of the Formula E Championship with a fantastic drive. But here comes Sebastian Buemi, right under the wheels, and it's side by side for second. Goodness me, and Buemi is livid with D'Ambrosio. This is going to get funky in the post-race. This is Di Grassi. So D'Ambrosio was second as they crossed the checkered flag line there.
Good job, guys, good job.
What a superb drive from Di Grassi.
What a race, good job.
A well-earned victory. I mean, like, he really played that well the whole race.
Really good race from Lucas Di Grassi to take victory. We're on board with him now. Let's speak to him. Hey Lucas, it's Jack here in commentary. A wonderful drive, and you really took advantage this week.
Jay, yeah, it was a great race. The fan boost this time worked. I attacked at the right time, and yeah, I managed to win this. It was a hard race.
And back in the lead of the championship now then.
Well, that's great news.
Thank you, Lucas, well done. We will leave him because he's doing some donuts there for the crowds. You could hear fantastic stuff from Di Grassi. You could hear in his throat, couldn't you, that he'd been doing some proper screaming down there. D'Ambrosio doing some donuts as well. And the Mexican fans appreciating that. And well,
was it not a shot at what happened to Daniel Abt there in the last lap? It seemed like he was kind of by himself.
Yeah, absolutely. A very strange one for Daniel Abt. He had no pressure from behind, really, and just made a mistake at the chicane. So he comes across the line in 8th position then. I don't know what happened to Simone de Silvestro in that second half of the race. She slipped down to 15th place from 11th. Senna didn't quite manage to make the points. Robin Franks finished in 6th place. Another good drive from the Andretti driver. When everyone else is falling off the road and losing their heads, then Franks is able to keep his. But I'm going to be very interested to hear what Buemi and D'Ambrosio have to say to each other down there, because I don't think Buemi's going to be particularly happy. Here is Buemi, he's already back there. So let's see if we get a little head-to-head with Jerome. Don't think we're going to see. It's not been a good day for him. As Di Grassi pulls back into the pit lane now. As the race winner in FIA Formula E, that's his 3rd victory. It's his 11th podium in 16 Formula E races. Di Grassi taking his time. Climbs out of the car. And I think he's going to savour this one, Lucas Di Grassi. His 2nd win of the season sees him move to the top of the championship with victory in Mexico City. And Abt have beaten Renault here in a straight fight.
Yeah, absolutely. Both of them didn't have, they both had to deal with Ambrosio, basically. The sleeper who ended up starting on pole didn't make it easy for either one of them to pass. Di Grassi had the fan boost, and that proved to be the difference.
Absolutely. Buemi and D'Ambrosio were just having a chat in there. We'll wait and see. I'm sure they'll speak to Nicky in a couple of moments' time. And we'll get their views on things, but the focus is a wonderful victory from Lucas Di Grassi. He had to work very hard for that one, and like you say, he took Prost the lap before the pit stops. Literally, they said, 1 lap before you pit, next corner, up the inside, job done. And there he is celebrating with the Abt team. We've had to run the whole way up the pit lane, which in this air density is not too easy. Fastest lap for D'Ambrosio, but I think that's a bit misleading because, like I say, it was when he and Buemi just went straight over at turn 1.
Yeah, he were doing the fan boost. Yeah, I know. Fan boost was changed the race.
And yeah, great to see Lucas Di Grassi winning the race through fan boost as well. His fans have helped him out there, that's for sure, and that's the difference that fans can make in Formula E.
Yeah, it certainly proved it this week.
Yeah, absolutely.
Lucas, our fan boost guy. Thank you so much.
Celebrations all around, and before too long we will hear from Di Grassi. Looks like he's more than keen to come over for a little chat. So let's hear from Sebastian Buemi first of all. This could be interesting. Tried very hard, but only a 3rd place. He's talking to Nicky Shields.
Sebastian Buemi, a real battle on your hands there for 2nd position, but just couldn't quite get past Jerome.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to see it on TV because I don't mind him closing the door, but he has to close earlier. It's, when I'm already committed to overtake him and he closed the door, all of a sudden I can't avoid touching him, So I'm really disappointed by this because even the race direction I felt didn't say anything, and it could be dangerous. If you either move earlier or you don't move. You can't move while I'm already more or less there.
And is that were you trying to slow down to give him the position back when then Prost and Abt and everyone became out of order for a short period of time?
Yeah, I think that was even a mistake because, you know, he didn't leave me any room, so I did it just because I was scared, you know, to lose so many points for the championship. But clearly, you know, I don't quite get it. I think he should have let me by and at least not close the door like that. But that's something we'll discuss next time, you know.
Thanks very much.
So Sebastian Buemi, well, we'll wait and see what Jerome has to say. I'm sure we'll get some replays, but I'm not 100% sure I entirely subscribe to that. There's Mike Conway, he's come to a stop. But now let's hear from our race winner, Lucas Di Grassi, back at the top of the championship.
So Lucas Di Grassi back on the top of the driver championship. That must feel good.
It feels just awesome. The race here was just perfect. I had the patience behind Prost to attack in the right moment before the pit stop. And then when I saw Jerome, I had the opportunity at that lap. I used fan boost and managed to get the overtake. And after that, I was pushing really hard for 3-4 laps. And yeah, I'm very happy to have won this race.
It did seem after the pit stop, it just went so perfectly well for you. In the first half, were you just trying to stay calm and cool and keep the position?
No, really. I was trying to attack, but here in this track, it's really hard to overtake, as you could see in the rest of the race. So I was trying to overtake Prost, but he was getting close by Jerome, and then he was closing me, and I was closing Seb. So it was like a chess, right? Who gets the right moment? And in the end, after the pit stop, I attacked at the right time.
Excellent. Well done. Congratulations.
Great victory for Lucas Di Grassi. Jerome D'Ambrosio and Sebastian Buemi have been summoned to see the race director after the podium and press conference.
Imagine that.
Yeah, exactly. How often have you been to see race directors?
Well, actually, I'm pretty sure just about every weekend. Actually, not necessarily for on-track stuff, but I always seem to end up in timeout somehow.
Amazing. So there's the podium being prepared, and there is Cirque du Soleil doing a little bit of a performance before the drivers arrive. Let's hear now from our second place man, Jerome D'Ambrosio. I wonder what he thought of Jerome Buemi's overtaking attempt. Let's hear from him.
Well, that was a bit of a challenging race for you, battling there with Sebastian Buemi. What did you think of his approaches to trying to overtake you?
I think that, you know, I think they were fine. I think it was a close call. I mean, the only time he overtook me was cutting the chicane. Not much I could have done, and he made a big mess when he gave the place back. He just forced me to be offline, created a really big disaster. But in the end, the race was fantastic. You know, I gave everything I had. I mean, it's really difficult to challenge with these guys. I absolutely gave it all. I had a little issue in second car with the steering being really heavy, so really give it all. And I want to thank the team. You know, all the guys, the engineers, the mechanics, and then we had new sponsors joining on board: Phoenix, Panasonic, with Mauser, and you know, all these guys also helping us achieve what we want to achieve. So thanks to all of them.
Thanks very much. Well done.
So off they go now towards the podium for the procedures, and we're just starting to calm down now. A great tweet from Oliver Rowland, who raced in Punta del Este. He said, "Wow, I love it. Great race. Please have me back." So amazing stuff in that Formula E race here at Circuit Hermanos Rodriguez. That's the results then after 43 laps of racing. Lucas Di Grassi victorious, only 5.4 seconds clear of D'Ambrosio in the end, but it was as high as 10 seconds. D'Ambrosio finishing in second, Buemi in third. Then Loic Duval finishing in fourth after Daniel Abt threw it all away on that final lap. Nico Prost finishing fifth after he had to serve a drive-through penalty. Good drive from Robin French to sixth position. Sam Bird from 10th to 7th. He'll be satisfied with that one, I think. Heidfeld and Sarrazin completing the top 10. Bruno Senna just missing out on points. Then you've got Oliver Turvey, Mike Conway, Nelson Piquet Jr. and Simone de Silvestro, with Salvador Duran finishing down in 16th position ahead of Jean-Eric Vergne, who had all sorts of troubles. And Antonio Felix da Costa, I think, had to retire from the race. Lucas Di Grassi then now leads the championship, 101 points. That gives him a 6-point margin over Sebastian Buemi. Sam Bird in third. Jerome D'Ambrosio on 53 points, but I'm not sure those 2 points for fastest lap will stand because he went straight over at the first corner, but he's in front of his teammate Loic Duval. But that's the big switch around at the top of the championship. Lucas Di Grassi, 6 points ahead of Buemi. Really impressive stuff from the Brazilian, considering on paper you'd have to see the Renault team have the quicker car. No more points today for Jean-Eric Vergne or for Bruno Senna in their hunt to try and improve. A real shame for Vergne because he started in 6th place on the grid, lost an awful lot of laps, a lot of positions on the opening laps. And as for the teams, it's still Renault who top it. How different that could have been if Daniel Abt hadn't made that mistake and dropped from 4th position. In fact, may well have been in front of Renault, but it's very tight between the two of them, no doubt about that. Dragon Racing finishing in 3rd place, DS Virgin in 4th, Mahindra, Andretti, Venturi, Oguri, and next EV Team China Racing completing the championship standings.
For weekly Formula E videos, click subscribe on the left-hand side. To watch the next one, click the icon in the centre, and remember to hit the like button and leave your comments down below.